All right, today we're gonna have a great nutrition interview. And let's see, people are coming live and we can go from there. I think we are officially live and Leslie's. Hi Leslie, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for, thank you, I'm good. Thank you so much for your time. This really means a lot for me because I missed your workshop when you were in LA, in Santa Clarita, in Cosgrove's location, Result Fitness. I had another course that weekend, so I missed that. That was a good one. It was a good package. You, Josh, and it was who else was with you guys?
Let's
It was you,
see.
Josh, Brandon,
Brandon.
Professor
Yeah.
Brandon. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
one of my favorites too. So, first thing first, if you don't mind, and like give a little bit of a background about yourself, and then I'll throw my rabbit hole questions, and then you can educate us with your fabulous knowledge of nutrition.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So, I'm Leslie Schilling. I am a Las Vegas based sports dietitian, and I'm a certified eating disorder dietitian as well. So, the draw is from North Carolina. So, I grew up in North Carolina. I was a competitive gymnast. I did my undergrad and master's degree at Appalachian State University, and my undergrad is in nutrition, and I spent a lot of time in my master's doing exercise science work, worked under Mike Stone, Dave Neiman, and exercise immunology. And so had a lot of exercise science in my history. I'm a certified strength and conditioning specialist, so
Nice.
CSCS. From the NSCA. And so I did that. I've been practicing, around 20 years. And in prior to there being a sports dietitian credential, those of us in sport wanted to make sure strength coaches and those in the sport realm understood that we understood. And so many of us who started in sports dietetics and sports nutrition, what you will see RD CSCS, and then you also see CSSD, which I have been for 10 years. I don't know if it's really necessary, but it is what it is. And now I do a lot of work supervising dietitians who want to be more well versed in the eating disorder realm as well. And I get to work in Vegas with a lot of cool people, a lot of professional performers with Cirque du Soleil, and hopefully they're coming back in the near future. But yeah, good stuff. It's all good stuff. I've evolved over the years. I was typically trained as a dietitian, and we can talk more about what that looks like later, but have evolved into doing what I do here in Vegas.
Awesome. So yeah, that's the one thing that I from the beginning, I didn't know anything about you since Josh introduced on that workshop, and I started following you, and I'm like, that's type of a person that I like, because I think as a fitness coach, as a personal trainer, as a exercise physiologist, and someone who does research and nutrition, I think it's a very tough, like I always feel bad for nutritionists and whoever is dealing with the nutrition, because the amount of stuff that change in your industry, it's a lot. Like even when we talk about a strength conditioning, there are certain protocols on working out that you can apply, and most of the time it works. But man, that nutrition it's really hard. What is interesting for me is it's getting tricky, especially with all these different companies that every day come out with meal plans and specific diets, and they name these sexy names and diet. Like from 50s we had, like, I don't know, we had from 50s, I think we had the grapefruit diet, and then it changed to the vegetable, and then they say like, oh, you just got to eat protein, and after 10 years they said, okay, no, now we have to eat carb, and now we have keto, and then we have now it's just like it's all
All the
these names
craziness.
going around. But you are the person who says, the first quote that I read about from you was about people that they're doing under eating. Like under
Yeah.
eating, there's no benefit over there. So what I want you to kind of start and educate whoever's going to join us or later is going to watch this video is, what are your professional thoughts about all these meal preps and all these extra supplements that people are taking, and how we can fix that by easy, if there is an easy way, as of
Mm-hmm.
like kind of finding a good habit of changing the lifestyle as of eating, rather than just start something, see some result, and which 99.9% they're not sustainable. I just give 1%, 0.1% be as of
True.
being humble. So
True.
just
True.
educate us, just share that area with us, like, and then in while you're sharing, if there is something come to my mind or someone ask a question, we can throw that and ask you at the time. Stage is yours.
So I, so I have like 14 answers going through my head. So the first thing is food is not as complicated as our diet culture and the diet industry has made it out to be.
I love it already.
Eating is not complicated, but when you add diet culture and all the crap that goes along with that, or that's a pretty accurate word, I guess.
Yep.
It really it and we see diet culture or the diet, and listen, the diet industry is projected to hit just under a $280 billion, the weight loss and supplement diet industry in 2023. So it didn't get that way by working, because it would have worked and we wouldn't just keep going with different products. So I don't think we need any of it. I think, I work with a lot of athletes too, and there are supplements that are used, there are vitamins and minerals that maybe we take or we add, but none of that matters if somebody's under eating. And our culture, and I'm going to throw us both under the bus here, dietitians, fitness professionals, medical professionals, people generally in health who are weight centrically trained, which means we equate weight with health, which is false. We tend to fall into the trap of recommending under eating to people. And when people go on weight loss diets, I mean, the evidence is pretty clear that, yeah, it works for a minute, right? So it works for a minute. You might feel great or whatever you're trying to feel for like a year, but at the 2 to 5 year mark, people have gained back weight plus more, and then they're likely metabolically damaged. So like
Right.
when you feed your body less, the body being this resilient, beautiful thing that it is, it's like, oh, well, I need to learn how to operate on less. And that's what happens. And we see people eating calorie levels, and I don't talk a lot of calories with people because I don't think it's very helpful unless I'm saying something like this. We're eating calorie levels very typically that our doctors, some trainers, some even dietitians recommend, that are at the level of the landmark starvation studies. And so if we put that in our minds, that we are recommending that people eat at levels of starvation, then we're setting people up for a lifelong battle with body concerns, mental health concerns, metabolic damage. When we have this yo-yo dieting, we're looking at these yo-yo diets and seeing the metabolic damage it causes when if you go to a physician's office or whoever's office, they might say, oh, well, we got to lose weight. And instead, not realizing that this person's been on the yo-yo cycle for a long time, and maybe us recommending chronic low calorie consumption or low energy consumption is the reason they have all these problems. So we have to do better collectively in the health and fitness area.
What are your thoughts about, because some people, when they get into this, like following a specifically a meal plan, or specifically like accountability eating, and then adding 10 shot of like a supplements and specific, like they weight their food. Like I just have a problem with weighting the food. Like it just
I do
doesn't
too.
make sense. But above that, what bothers me is personally, and I might be 100%, well, 99.9% wrong. But for me, the psychology and emotion of the eating as of mental health is very important. So if I'm gonna eat, I don't know, it's again personal. If I'm gonna eat cottage cheese, would taste horrible, and I consider I'm gonna look good, but emotionally that's gonna drop me. Bleh. I
Yeah.
prefer eat my Nutella every day because that shit is pumping me up, and then I work out for that, and I'm feeling great. Like, I don't know, I
Well,
might be wrong, but at the
we
same
have
time,
we have to. You're not wrong, and I always joke like, we have taste buds for a reason. We have taste buds for a reason, and it's not to eat tasteless food that, and I can tell you, like, I like sushi. I like all the things. Am I going to have brown rice sushi? No, because it's gross and it's not
gross.
authentic. I mean,
Exactly.
if someone's watching and you like it and it's a true preference and your taste buds are like, shabam, knock
Perfect.
yourself out. But I don't like it. And it's not authentic to me. So it's like, I don't really want to do that. It doesn't taste good to me. So there's a pleasure and satisfaction play a large role in health and wellness. And I trained with a wonderful therapist, Anita Johnston, who's the author of Eating in the Light of the Moon. And she would always say, Leslie, what people do with their food, they do with their lives. And if someone's super, super restrictive and very particular, we see that play out in lots of areas of our lives. And we have to understand that food is one very small, like, I'm biased because I'm a dietitian, food's my business, but food and nutrition is a part of a very, very big holistic piece of wellness. And there are things that are 50% of the social determinants of health. 50% of that comes from your zip code. It comes from
Right.
privilege. Can you buy these things? Can you buy this meal plan or this meal prep thing? And I've ordered some of the meal kits and things like that just to make my life a little easier because I have the privilege to do that. That's obviously a financial or economic privilege that I have. And do they make my life easier when the butter chicken is already prepared? Sure. Do I, I've had people that are doing meal planning where they're like, sweet potato boiled chicken every night. Oh, and I'm like, how in the world is that pleasurable? And then I had somebody's like, oh, I really like it. And in my mind, I'm like, how? But we also let some of our disordered eating practices, food, 10% determinant of health. You're right. You're absolutely
Yeah.
right. It is. It's like food's a very small portion, as social determinants of health. And we have to think about privilege. We have to think about the stressors and all the things. And, when I get somebody who's so rigid with their meal planning, I'm like, how is this impacting your quality of life? Because if 10% of nutrition is part of, it's 10% is this, within a social determinant of health, then what about your quality of life in general? How
Right.
is it, are you spending 90% of your mental energy on measuring your food? And that, I'm going to just go ahead and put it out there for everybody and say that's disordered. That's disordered. And don't feel bad about that. Feel angry that diet culture has done this to us. And let's get some help around it because food is not complicated.
It's
But
not.
diet culture, food's not complicated. Eat things you enjoy. Eat things
Yep.
within your economic privilege.
Food is not. The
Um,
diet culture is, I think, makes it complicated.
Absolutely, 100%.
So my question is, I'm gonna play devil's advocate. So what if by being that disorder that we talked about, I'm gonna measure these, I'm gonna take these supplements, I'm gonna do these, I'm gonna have that what do you call it, like a cottage cheese for my breakfast, and then but I'm gonna look good and I'm satisfied by looking at myself in a mirror and my
Mm-hmm.
shirtless picture or my bikini. Like what do you how we can judge that area? For me, again,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's not sustainable because mental part, your mind, and then the psychology of the joy, eventually it's going to break you down. Like
Yeah.
eventually you're going to get to that, like, screw this, like I want to go back to I need to eat my pizza like as a pizza, not like, oh, I'm still eating my pizza and you have one
Not
slice of a pizza.
cauliflower
No, it's
pizza.
not eating a pizza. It's not eating a pizza. One slice, two slices, not eating a pizza. Eating a pizza is just eating a pizza, having your beer, and without feeling any guilt because you know that's not every day, or like I'm gonna have that for
Mm-hmm.
my lunch and a dinner with 5 bottles of a beer or whatever. It's just like one weekend or maybe every weekend. I'm fine with that. Like I'm doing it. Like, and I
Yeah.
feel like I'm in the strongest area of my life, and probably I'm not a stage fitness model, but I have the definitions, and then like I don't see any kind of restriction to be really atheist about some stuff as of the nutrition. So, any thoughts around that area?
I mean, you're right. It boils down to a quality of life. And have I worked with, listen, I work with people who there's a big aesthetic component to their jobs. And, you know, but you still have to be fed. And at some point, I spend a lot of time on low energy availability issues with people. And so somebody might feel like they look good aesthetically, and that's great. I want everybody to feel like they look good, but that's because of diet culture, not everybody gets to feel that way. And hopefully we can work on body respect and body acceptance over time. But yeah, we have to help people who might be stuck in the aesthetic see like who are we doing this for, and is it impacting your quality of life? And I can tell you in 20 years in practice, and I say this with very confidently, I'm at a point in my career where I can say this very confidently, I have never met someone so aesthetically driven that was not underfed. Never. And so we work on being fed. I want you to be fed so you can feel your life, you know, so you can feel your life, so you can be present in your life, so you don't go out to dinner with your friends and pull crazy stuff out of your bag. You know, that's not living, you know? So, I mean,
Yeah,
I
agree.
work
I've
with
been
people
like some.
underfed. And then if you talk to people about relative energy deficiency in sport, or deficit in sport, then it's an active people. You don't have to be an athlete to have something called REDS. You know, it's if you are a person who moves, you're at risk. And we have a lot of people who don't consider themselves like a true athlete or in a sport that are really moving and doing a lot with their bodies, and they're underfed. And when I show them, there's some really great infographics that I show people. When I show them the entire bodily systems that are impacted by that, I'm like, just point out the things that are impacting you. They're like, wow, I can really see that. And so I can't change someone's values, because what someone values is completely up to them, and it's part of their lived experience and who they are. But I can come alongside someone and support them in hopefully having a better quality of life. And a fed life, a fully fed life, we can be fully present in that life. And you don't need a mirror a whole lot for that. So,
True, true. Um,
yeah.
what question was I was thinking? So here's my question as of if we go a little bit more on the science part of it, as of like a science of the nutrition. Um, we have different type of the recommendation when it goes to the, you just need to Google how much carb I need, how much fat I need. Do you do that? Do you think that people or any individual need to follow that? Like, hey, always increase the amount of the, like, if you're really like thinking about like losing fat, increase the amount of your protein, have a moderate carb, have a low fat, or you just want, like, what are your thoughts? So
Well, I
is there
think
anything for?
I look at macronutrients at times. So I look at macronutrients. Okay, so this person's training, X amount a day. This is what their load is. This is their intensity level. I'll look at it. I look at it because it's my job to look at it. I don't think people generally need to dissect all this stuff and like overthink it, because we're really good at overthinking it. And I'll look and be like, okay, I think you need more protein. What proteins do you like, and where can we add them in? And so I do it more food based than like, you need 35 grams right here. you know, because we get crazy with that. You know, it's like when I used to give myself Monday, Wednesday, Friday workouts, and if I missed a Monday workout, like it was not good. You know, it's like now it's like day one, day two, you know, like make it work within your schedule. So I do keep in mind, like, are you eat? I again, and I usually see sometimes I see people get way too much protein. And listen, I'm protein liberal. I mean, get the protein, yay, you know. But sometimes I'm like, that's too much, and it's displacing all the other types of food you need, like fat and carbs, and so we see that a lot. So I do it in the sense of like balance and what does your body need, but I usually do it in a way that's like, tell me the foods you like and how can we kind of give you some gentle structure during the day to feel better. Yeah.
So that gram per pound protein, is that something that accurate, or like at least minimum keep it around 100 gram a day for your protein, especially the
Well,
days that you work out?
it depends on the person. It depends on the person, right? So I mean, generally you're looking like one, I think in how I was trained, which is kilograms. So it's like 1.5 to 2 grams per kilogram body weight. And it depends, you know, it depends. And then I even hesitate giving people that information at times because then we get real crazy with it. Like somebody comes in with a spreadsheet and I'm like, okay, let's back off a little bit. We eat food, not numbers. So let's talk about that, and then I'll give them ideas. And like, what do you like? Where could we add it in so you're better fed? Where can we? And it's
Got it.
about balance. It's about, and this is the thing I've been saying this like 3 times a day this past week or two. It's about balance over time, not balance all the time. And I think that's where we get in trouble because somebody's looking at breakfast. They're like, okay, do I have 25 grams of this? Looking at dinner, do I have 45 grams of this? I'm like, that food is not complicated. It does not have to be that way. There's a balance, and it sounds like you've probably found in your life where there's this balance where you can be really intentional about kind of the fuel you're putting in. You can also be intentional about having pleasurable foods regardless of their nutrition quality. Yeah, it is. It's a balance over time, not all the time. And
Got it.
your client gets to decide that. And that's what I think as health and fitness
Hmm.
professionals. I came out of school thinking like I know what's best for you. Like on my high horse, you know, with all my privilege, I know what's best for you. And over time I realized like, I really don't. I don't have your lived experience. I don't get to define what health is for you. I don't get to define what balance is for you. But you know what? I can learn a whole bunch about you and I can support you in doing what is important to you.
To you. Yep.
But
That's
I'm
I
also
I
real
think.
but I'm also really honest about what is it when there's disorder. I'm like, I know this feels very common to you because of our culture, but this is really a negative behavior, and let's talk about why.
Why? I'm just gonna step back. Just need to not to confirm, but just correct me if I'm wrong. What I realize, I've been just following some of the Insta trainers or Insta famous trainers that specifically that I can see that they're under eating or they have their crazy diet. I mean, they
Yeah,
look good, obviously, sure, on their shirtless beach picture, their bikini, they look good.
yeah, whatever.
But I
Yeah.
can see their skin quality is not good. There's some dryness, and I feel like they're like hidden wrinkles over there. And I feel like I'm not joking. Like I can totally like I can totally see like you go back to like I don't know from their first post they ever posted on Instagram. Like they have I don't know 2,000 posts. You go for from their first 10 posts and like your skin is different here and then here is totally different. And like for sure you have some makeups and stuff or not. You're under the sun, whatever. But the skin quality, I feel like if you're not eating, you don't get enough value of the food. The first area, like one of the areas that it's gonna affect, it's gonna be your skin. Like
Hmm.
your skin, it's not as fresh and it's not. And you can again
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. I could be completely
Well,
wrong again.
that's low energy. It's low energy availability. When you have low energy, all these systems that aren't crucial to survival your body's like, oh, don't have energy for that. Sorry, skin, you're not going to look glowy and supple, you know? And, and also like, oh, thermoregulation, you live in Vegas, it's 110 today and you're cold and you're wearing a sweatshirt. Oh, there goes thermoregulation because it's not that important. And the other thing to know about Instagram, listen, I'm not into detoxes or cleanses or any of the crazy mess out there, but if you need a detox, social media is the one to take. I mean, here we are on it. It can be used for good. But Instagram, there is an association of Instagram use and lower body satisfaction scores. And so if we think about, it's all fake. It's all fake. Nobody's going to put like, well, there are people being really, really honest about some of their pictures. Like, this is the real me. This is, you get what you get, you know, gray hair and all. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that authenticity. But when somebody's brand is built on their body, which is really sad but true, because it shouldn't be. It's like, we are more than bodies. We're not vessels or objects. We're vessels to be used for good, but not necessarily to be looked at. You know, it's unfortunate. And I have a lot of clients who are like, well, hey, let me show you this dietitian or this trainer's food. Look at this food. What do you think about that? I'm like, I think it's disordered, and it hurts my heart that I have to apologize that the dietitian is doing this and you're following it. Like, it hurts my heart that you're getting really unethical, dangerous advice that nobody is policing on Instagram. And there's so many filters. And like, if I can tell I'm like, listen, I got a detox for you. And they're like, what? I'm like, get off Instagram, please. Goodbye. Or, and we have to be real careful with our use. Yeah.
Because right now the marketing goes towards, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, it's like, listen, I feel like it's a necessary evil. I love to be on it. I like to know what's going on. I don't do much on Facebook. Instagram's kind of where I hang. And I, like my feed is pretty, Redefine Beauty. It's Lexi, and they're suggesting like what to follow. There's some really great accounts, and I try my best to post those and amplify those out there. Like, I am really careful what I post and repost, because like, if you go down in the history and see what somebody's doing, it could be one of those like before and after photos, which I absolutely loathe. They're horrible. They're not accurate. It's the number one way to get somebody roped into something, but it's not actually actual. But yeah, there are good things out there. And then you've got people, looking at their Insta, getting triggered by some Insta famous person and kale smoothie or whatever. And then they go to their MyFitnessPal, which in 2018 and 2019, 2 consecutive studies suggested that it increases eating disorder behavior in those who are using it, male and female. So I've had tears in my office when I'm like, can you delete MyFitnessPal for me? And let's work on listening to your body, because your body is wise. And I'm going to help you do that, because we're born knowing how to do that.
So use it as long as you know what you're doing, because otherwise you're going to get in a eating disorder.
Well, it will always underfeed you. Always.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I don't recommend that people
unless you have the numbers, right? Like,
unless
do all the tests.
Unless you're one of those people that can like step on a scale, and which I don't recommend people weighing very frequently, if at all. If you step on a scale and you're like, interesting data. Very few people are that person. So I don't recommend doing that. And I don't recommend getting caught up in, some people can use it. Say like, I plug things in for clients, like, are you getting enough? And I can do that kind of automatically now over time. But I think it tends to underfeed people most often, because the formulas are for weight loss. I mean, its success, it depends on you shrinking, at least temporarily, your body, which sets us up for a lifetime of like, why did we think Weight Watchers has a lifetime membership? Because it doesn't work. And you have to keep coming back for more while you're metabolically damaging yourself. And so, yeah. So we got to eat. And somebody mentioned like, how do you know if you're eating enough? Well, there are some calculations out there. And, I will do those in office for people, but I can tell you, and I can give you, I'll shoot you the REDS, the relative energy or low energy information that I have. It's a study from it's a very well done study and information and infographics. I can send it to you to post that tells people like for for fat-free mass, like how many calories you need. I'm real careful doing that generally, but I can tell you very few people need less than like 2,200 calories. I mean, that's low, especially if you're a body
Right.
that moves, and lots of people need more than like 3 or 4,000. So you've got all these people. And again, I reluctantly talk numbers, but I talk it in a way when like, oh my gosh, you've been eating like X number of calories. That's the amount of calories that they used in starvation studies. We've got to feed your body. You're going to feel better. Your body might get a little bigger. It might get a little smaller. It might stay the same. That's how weight works. It's not a behavior we can control,
Right.
but we can feed you better and you can perform better fed. Yeah.
True. So someone is asking a question: how do you approach patient clients that are morbidly obese and do need to make diet changes in order to extend their life, relevant joint pain, etc.?
Okay. So that's a really good question. And I get that a lot from health professionals. So there's a lot of shame involved with a person living, and I don't use the terms obese or obesity or overweight. Because think about dog breeds. There's a really good YouTube video you should look up called Poodle Science, and it talks about how our weight science research in the United States is pretty biased. But like, if I'm a dog, I'm a Cocker Spaniel. I've already decided I'm stocky. I've got the ears. I'm a Cocker Spaniel, and that's me if I were a dog breed, right? Similar across, there are racial differences in people. And the BMI was developed using only white men by an astronomer. And then
Interesting. I didn't know that.
by an astronomer. The BMI is useless. And it misclassifies
I agree on
people.
that.
Absolutely useless. And if you have muscle in your body, you're going to be on the higher end. So BMI is useless, but we use it in medicine. We use it in fitness. We use it in nutrition. I don't, because it's useless, but we see it used a lot to determine whether someone fits into those very stigmatizing word categories, people who live in larger bodies. But what if that person is coming to you having been on yo-yo diets, and they might have some metabolic changes and damage from that, and the worst thing you could do for them is offer them another diet, because you're setting them up for failure and further mental distress. And what we can do is and just so you know, there's a really great study, Vaughn et al., about fitness and BMI and mortality risk. It's very good. Your fitness level matters more than BMI. So what if I sat in front of a patient, like whoever asked that question, like what if you sat with that patient or that client and you were like, you know what? I care more about how you care for your body than the weight of your body. Because weight is not a behavior we can control. And so, and can you imagine the shame and the stigma that goes away, and now they trust you because they feel like they're more than a number. They're a human that deserves respectful, compassionate care. And that would be like, you know what? I would love to make sure that you're eating enough, because people who live in larger bodies, we have weight bias, and we decide for them, because of our prejudice towards those who live in larger bodies, that they must be eating too much. That is not necessarily the case. People who live in larger bodies sometimes don't eat enough, just like many of us just aren't getting enough generally. And the body doesn't know the difference between diets and famine. So we have increased storage. And so what can we do for that patient? We can stop talking about weight. and we can start caring about behaviors that are helpful. Like, are you eating enough? Are you getting enough during the day? Are you connecting with people? Because positive relationships in your life are better at reducing mortality risk than smoking cessation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's big. Like, do you have positive relationships in your
Relationship. Yeah.
life? You know, and if you don't, it shouldn't. And it's so unfortunate because, you know, I have people who can't even eat their lunch at work because that's all they talk about is weight and body and all this. There's no safe place for them. So if you, as a health and fitness or medical professional, can be a safe place for someone who lives in a larger body, which means you're not going to harp on their weight. And even if we could, even if weight loss would help these things, the evidence suggests it's not sustainable. It's a 95% failure rate, which means you're gaining it back plus more in 2 to 5 years. We wouldn't write that as a prescription. So what can
True.
we do? Plan meals, get adequate sleep, lower your allostatic load, which is your cumulative stress level. Those are the things we have to help people with. Plan some meals, and not in a pathological same food every night kind of way, but like, what foods do you like? Can we plan a couple dinners you can cook at home? There's nothing wrong with that type of planning, so you have the food that you need. You know, can you plan a Zoom lunch date these days, you know, a Zoom lunch date with a friend? Can you connect? Do you have, is there a spiritual connection missing in your life that you need to feel? There's so much more to it than food and weight. And this is coming from a dietitian I've done all the things that have hurt people. I came out weight centrically trained, which is calories and numbers, and I know better than you, but that doesn't help people. I never got a thank you note for putting someone on a diet.
No, I agree. It's like I'm just speechless because whatever you're saying is just right. Because I pretty much, again, nutrition is at all. It's not my line of study. However, as of many personal trainers at the beginning, I did the precision nutrition. And then on my PhD, I had a lot of nutrition course. On my master's, I had a lot of nutrition courses. It's just, for me, it's good to know, but I never really give a nutrition advice. But for me, it's just like whatever makes sense. Hey, enjoy your food. Like, make sure you eat. Make sure you eat enough. So because otherwise,
eat enough.
when you want to lift that kettlebell sandbag or TRX or whatever out there, you're just going to be like, you're just going to be getting fatigue faster. So, and fatigue is usually 90% is an injury.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And we're so underfed. We're just chronically underfed. And when you think about the other things, I was in a coaches meeting for, you know, a professional athlete group that I work with. And the coaches were like, people are so tired and they have anxiety and they're having all these issues. And I'm sitting over here like, yeah, because you're telling them not to eat. I mean, so we have to be really careful. And we have to know that if we are perpetuating low energy intake, we're harming people. Because if we take away all, you know, if we look at just the things that the chronic diseases people are suffering with, and we look at yo-yo diet, weight loss, weight gain, you know, loss of muscle mass. We look at that, we can see a lot of these issues come to light. And I don't know about you, but as a health and fitness professional, I don't want to be a part of that anymore. I want to help people love the bodies that they're in spite of a culture that tells them there's only one to look like, which is wrong. And we can be the voice of reason. We can be the ones that are like, I care how you care for you. And your weight is not a behavior we can control. But you know what? We can control you enjoying joyful movement. I can help. You know, I like to talk to clients about their personal values. I'm like, what are your values? Like, what do you value? And like, values are different than goals. Like, a number is a goal, right? A value is something that can stay with you your whole life. I value being strong because I want my daughter to see me being strong as long as I can. Like I want to be the mom that could protect her if a coyote jumped out from, while we're hiking or whatever. Like I want to be strong. I value that. I have the privilege of being able-bodied, and that's a privilege too, to have a healthy, able body. And so, that's my value, and I value connection almost more than anything else. And if you know someone's values, and it doesn't matter where you are in your professional realm, that is well within your scope to know what somebody cares about.
Right.
And if I know somebody cares about their daughter or their son, and I know that they're restrictively eating in front of them, I care enough about that person to say, listen, I'm really worried about what that's demonstrating to your child about body trust and being scared of food. I care about you enough to be honest with you that if you don't like your body and you're eating in this way, they see you, and that's contagious. Like
Absolutely.
kids aren't born hating their bodies. We teach them that. So we have to be really careful. We have to be
Absolutely.
very
Yeah,
careful.
these are like a key value. Like what you're saying, it's gold. Like it's money. Like there is no argue on that area. But unfortunately, when it comes down to the money and all these big industries out there, what I realized recently, again, like you, I do a lot of research. I read, I go to the rabbit holes in some areas. I love it. It's just because you see more shitty stuff out there. And now they're starting
Yeah.
to like kind of like targeting like a big universities. Oh, this is the like UCLA, USC's the like doctor or whatever, and they come with this product, and oh wow, as long as they have that name behind it, then they're legit. No, they're not. They're just as
And they're
smart. It's
biased.
just,
They're biased.
yeah,
And our culture preys on people's wanting to belong. It's just this primal wanting to belong.
dependent,
Yeah, and our
dependent.
and our culture doesn't value diversity. And that's why I said, like, BMI is crap. BMI is crap. We base so much on it. It was highly recommended in the medical community to never ever use it, but we chose to use it anyway. Misclassifies 75 million people as healthy or unhealthy every year because it's a measure of height and weight in white men created by an astronomer. And so it's not relative to me, it's not relative to most people who go to the doctors. And so we have to be assertive enough to say, you know what? I need somebody who's going to treat me. And I look different than that person. And my genetics are different. And you know what? My weight's going to be a lot higher. And it's not about weight, but sometimes we have to tell people, I'm like, I don't know if you're used to treating me, but let me help you out. Here's what I expect from a health provider. And people forget, I educate my clients all the time. I'm like, you are in charge of your health care. You are in charge. And it's very hard to stand up to, and listen, I have all the privileges. I have thin privilege. I'm able-bodied. I'm white. I have a lot of privileges, and it's hard for me. So how can we empower our clients to get compassionate care, knowing weight is not a behavior? Weight is not a behavior. So help me get a referral to a mental health practitioner that helps me deal with stigma in our world and all the things that are going on. Help me find a dietitian who is anti-diet and health at every size or weight neutral, who will really help me find someone who has cultural humility, who will take what is important to me and get to know me a little bit so they can help me. And that's like, go back to the beginning. There's a little bit of food in there, but not a lot, because social determinants are, there's sleep, there's all these things, connection. Remember, connection and fitness are more important for your mortality risk than so having a class, somebody can have this awesome class where nobody's like body shaming or anything like that, and you've got this fitness class and people are loving it because they're connected to people, they're having fun, they're doing things that because you've designed it in a way that won't hurt them, they're not doing stupid stuff, which I've seen plenty of that.
Yep.
So So, and to your point about it's money driven, it is money driven. But I can tell you this: for the last 15 years, out of the 20 years I've been in practice, I was weight centric, completely whitewashed education for the first 5 years of my practice, and then really started getting into the last 15 years of my practice, changing. Like, it's not about weight. Can we use intuitive eating practice? Can we teach people how to use what they're born with, their inner wisdom?
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you, as scary as it was for me to shift from weight centric to weight inclusive, I worried, like, yeah, people aren't going to come see me because they want X, Y, or Z. But that has never been the case. It's never been the case. And I've gotten lots of thank you notes from people. They're like, thank you for helping me swim upstream in diet culture,
Yes.
helping me
Yes.
see it, because now I'm free of the whey in my food. I'm free of
Yeah.
the stuff. I got my money back from Amazon for all the scales. Because you can be free. And when you're free, having a meal with your child, they know that. When you're eating the same food, you have connection. That's so important.
Yep.
So it's not just about food, it's about somebody's values, somebody's lived experience, their culture. We have to think about more than food. That's coming from a dietitian who's
No,
biased
I
towards food,
totally
right?
agree on that. So, I'm gonna slowly wrap it up, but one thing I want to ask your permission, if you don't mind, is that okay if I share your email with this post? And if people
Sure.
have more detailed question and want to work with you personally, they can reach out to you through email, and then I'm just gonna be a portal to help people if they want to learn, and then you can just that area is your end. So
Sure. And
whatever
if
are
you
your
want,
fees and whatever it is.
I want to show you a couple of things that I love,
Sure.
and
Yep.
it's for different people. It's like I brought all my books
Mhm.
to the party. So this is a really easy book for clients and fitness professionals. I love it. It talks about relative energy deficit in sport. Which, listen, if you move your body, you're at risk. When I talk about low energy availability, this is what it's about. There are really great
What is the name of it?
scientific. It is Finding Your Sweet Spot, and it's by Rebecca McConville, who is a sports dietitian and an eating disorder dietitian, just like myself. We're in a little geek out study club together, but this is her book. And I mean, super easy read, fantastic. So if you want to talk about, like, how do I help people, like, be fed and not end up with all of the orthopedic issues, I mean, career ending kind of stuff that we see, like, it's not normal. I'm sure many of you know this, but it is common for female athletes to lose their period. Common, not normal. Not normal. Okay. I said that in a group, like one of my first national talks. I can't remember, it was like 2007 or something. It was NSCA. I'm in front of like 500 coaches at the NSCA. And I say that and, like, jaws drop. Like, it is common, but it is
Coming.
not normal. We don't want this to happen because the orthopedic issues and all the mental health concerns and this huge cascade of endocrine and major issues. We have to do better with that. So, Body Kindness is a lovely, lovely book. It's by Rebecca Scritchfield. There are a lot of great books. Listen, I got a stack a mile high, trying to just be better. Got to do better in this world. And then Intuitive Eating just came out. This is the fourth. It just came out as the fourth edition. So this is it came out yesterday or the day before. And so this is by Evelyn
Awesome.
Tribbley and Elise Resch, and talk about certifications that are really useful for health and fitness professionals. Really good stuff. Health at Every Size helps people understand weight neutral and
That's
all the
great.
science behind it. There's a lot of science behind it. It's not just like somebody's like, that's so woo. And I'm like, it's really not woo. There's a lot of science,
A lot of
behind it.
science. Yeah.
Yeah, that diet culture ignores because they don't make money on it. It's not
They
very
don't want money.
sexy.
Nope. So last two questions. Your thoughts about intermittent fasting, and do you need supplement as of like a pre, post, for sleep, non-sleep, after sleep, before sleep, after wake up? I'm just gonna be honest. Personally, I'm taking protein shakes for two reasons. Because the taste of the freaking chocolate is so good, middle of a day and after a workout. And I just feel some days I'm not eating enough protein. However, I usually 90% of every day I eat red meat. I mean, I have meat-wise protein either from fish, or I don't eat chicken because it's a low IQ weak bird, and I don't see a reason. Low IQ weak bird. Yeah. I mean, if it's only food, I will eat it, but it's not my preference. But anyway.
Okay, so it's a preference. So, it's a preference.
Yeah.
And a really funny reason why. But okay, so first,
just,
intermittent fasting. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but here's what I've got two things to say on that. I eat dinner at 6:37. I wake up and I have coffee at 6:37. People kind of fast naturally while they sleep. There's that. And what I've seen a lot in my practice is when people come in and they're talking to me about their intermittent fasting windows and how they eat, I can tell you it looks a lot like binge eating, and I don't like it. Why would we not just feed our bodies and have a strategy? And especially if you're working out during the day and you need energy. So I'm not a big fan. And it, like most other diets, have temporary benefits. But at 2 to 5 year mark, I don't really know. Could we just eat normally and pleasurably and listen to our bodies and honor our bodies? So not a big fan. It looks like binge eating to me. And remember, I'm an eating disorder specialist. Okay. And the other question, supplements. That's a big question. So I don't think people, listen, if you're underfed and you're afraid of eating more food, you can take a lot of supplements, you know? And that's really unfortunate because eating food would probably be a better option. But there are some supplements that I like and I use, and, you know, I think, and I'm going to put in my disclaimer here, I am not your medical nutrition therapist. I'm a dietitian on Instagram, just kind of chatting it up. And, you know, I'm not a physician, but here's what I have to say. Food comes first. If your body's unfed, all this other mess you're putting in it probably doesn't matter. But there are some that are very valuable. For example, sometimes I use a protein shake too. And some people argue is that a supplement or it's food? It comes from food. And so it's like throwing some protein in your afternoon smoothie because it's how you meet your needs from getting to point B to, point A to point B. So it's context is the most important word that I use. I'm like, it depends on the context, right? So if you're living on that, it's probably not a good idea. If you're doing it because like it helps you meet your needs, you find it tasty. If you're choking it down, I don't recommend it. Or find another brand. There are other things I like to look at. Depends on the person, depends on context, depends on where you live. I live in Las Vegas, but I still think vitamin D is very, very important. And if you're not getting your vitamin D levels tested, try to get it done once a year at least, So vitamin D is a vitamin, but it also acts as a very powerful hormone in the body, and it impacts lots of other things, some we don't even know about at this moment. So yeah, there are some valuable things, but food comes first. If you're not well fed, that's where we have to start. Got it.
All right, last question, and then I'll let you go, and I'm sure some people will reach out to you. There this weird culture, or not a culture, I don't know, weird feeling some people they have, like, if I have vegetables, I'm healthy. So if I have more vegetables, like if I have a little bit of a salmon, steak, chicken breast, but surrounded with gigantic big portion of a salad, so I'm really eating healthy. I did some research, and in some of them they had this I don't remember the correct name of it. I might be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong. It's like a hormosis or something like that. It's like toxic that vegetables can create in your body, and over time that's not really helpful. Like, you don't need that much vegetable, because if you eat too much vegetable, the toxic that you create in your body, it's actually in some cases cause cancer in the long term, and you don't need that much. So it's like even less than moderate that we're talking, you need a vegetable. And I just like to hear your feedback.
One, eat what you like. Like, I hate asparagus, and I used to choke it down for the team, but I just don't like it. So like, it's a preference.
I work out to not eat kale.
Yeah. You know, like, and I don't like kale. I'm a dietitian. I admit it. Like, I mean, if somebody like blends it up or cuts it and mixes it with a sweet dressing, I'll choke it down. But like, it's okay. We have first we have preferences, and we can't say we don't like something if we've never tried it. You know, like I thought I didn't like bok choy, but I like it sauteed. It's great. You know, so try some things. But you hit the nail on the head. I can't tell you how many clients of mine are like, I have GI distress. I feel so bloated. I'm like, you ate 40 grams of fiber before lunch. That is why. So yeah, we don't need, I mean, you know, like a fist or two, if you have a big meal salad, whatever. Vegetables are important. Can you get too much? Yes. We act like fiber, like has a halo. You know, it's like, oh, it's amazing. Fiber, the angels are singing. You can get too much. And it can actually block other things, you know, absorbing in your gut. You can get too much. And I have so many people, they're like, but look how healthy I eat or healthy I eat. And I'm like, you have 3/4 of your plate vegetables. And I love that you love vegetables. That's great. But there's too many. You're getting too much fiber because you're displacing other things in your diet. Could you eat some, you know, pasta with this? Could you eat a lovely piece of sourdough toast with this? No, because you can't fit it in your stomach because you got 40 grams of fiber going in, and that's too much. And it does make people, and what happens is people are like, oh, I have stomach issues. It must be the dairy. It must be the gluten. It must be the this, you know, and then they cut more out and they eat more vegetables, and it's just a vicious cycle. I'm like, okay, back off on the vegetables. Let's give you all the foods, and let's see how you feel over time. But yeah, there's too much of a good thing, and I see a lot of people eating way more veggies than they need. Now listen, eat your vegetables if you like them, you know, and if that's of value to you, if that's part of your health values, fine. But you don't have to have massive amounts, and it can really cause some unfortunate nutrition concerns that send people down that rabbit hole of searching for something to fix when all we need to fix is like, please don't eat 4 cups of kale at lunch, you know. So.
And I think part of the people's anxiety and stress or like all these disorders come from not eating what they're supposed to eat. And then if you follow their eating, all of a sudden, like, I don't see any dairy in your like nutrition. Like, are you sure really dairy is that the portion that like make your stomach messy or whatever, you're not feeling comfortable? Because I see you're eating a lot of this or that rather than having a valuable of everything. And that's what I see. Because what I do with my clients, I ask them, hey, for 2 weeks, without any judgment question, take a picture of what you're eating, send it to me. Let me see what you're eating first. And then we can like kind of like a puzzle, move it around, add this, like, and then like I can say 95% works. It at least end of the day, they enjoy what they're eating and they get results. So
yeah, and so many people are on restrictive diets because of how I should be eating, and they really don't need to be. Nobody really needs to be on a restrictive diet. I mean, if you should absolutely avoid gluten. If you have celiac disease, you should absolutely avoid it. If you have lactose intolerance and it causes you distress, okay, get rid of the dairy that causes that. There's some dairy products that might work for you too. And so, you know, it's also individual, but we've taken diet culture's advice as a collective, and it's really harming people.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much, Leslie. This was fabulous. And hopefully maybe on the next interviews, we target some other areas, but I will share your email. And if people have more detail and they want to work with you individually, so they will be in touch with you, and we'll be in touch in some point again. And
sounds good.
I wish you a fabulous weekend and enjoy the rest of your Friday. Thank you again
too.
for everything.
Thank you. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye.